friends. A leader is the one who knows the way, who goes the way, and who shows the way. Today, we're honored to have among us such a leader who is a professional, HR professional. She is Nishi Shetty. She has got more than 23 years of experience as a senior HR professional in multinational organizations in India and UAE. She has gained extensive experience in the area of people development with her passion to develop people through her professional skills. She has worked with large multinational organizations in Gulf and in India. She conducts workshops for customers, relationship, sales development, conflict management, team building, employee engagement, personality profiling, leadership development, and so on. And she used different tools for such workshops. She is trained in ICF coaching, SHL level A and B, DISC, master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, Hey 360, emotional intelligence, different tools she is using. She is well traveled in different countries from US, Canada, UK, France to all over the world. And her hobbies are public speaking, conducting public programs. Welcome, Nishi Shetty, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Adnan, and thank you for the lovely introduction.
Thank you so much. A first question that comes to my mind while looking at your profile was that you left the corporate world at a stage where people are like dream to have that. You're the head of HR. So why you left that corporate world and you started your own business?
Thank you for the question, Adnan. And it is not the first time that I hear that question. As you know, it is always in people's mind when you step down or take the leap of faith from a certain level. So my reasons are, I would say, quite similar to many of the other people who take the leap of faith. It was in 2010 when I did my NLP practitioner course, and that time we were supposed to, on the first day, we had to write our goals. And I just wrote, after I turn 50, I will step into the entrepreneurship. And I just wrote it. In 2015, I did master practitioner of NLP. And the way journey went, I had taken quite a lot of certifications, and I started complementing the human resources with the positive psychology trainings and development of people. So I started adding that value. And I reached a stage where I felt, because I started growing myself into a very different world, which was positive psychology, spiritual development, personal development, and I felt I was being underutilized in the corporate. Because the requirements and the needs of the corporate and the expectation from me were much lesser than what I had to offer. So I felt there is, the world probably would need me, or I have more to offer to this world. And I took the decision. It was tough, and it is still tough, especially looking at the situation, but then I am really enjoying every moment of the day since the time I've stepped out.
Wow, that's great. A leap of faith, which is required from every one of us. And this is what we all aspire to do, something great. You mentioned that the corporate world was tough for you in terms of using your whole potential. Why is it so?
I started developing myself, and I started personal development way back, 20 years back, and all along through my career. I took certifications. I started also the spiritual development, and then both started to merge, the spiritual development, the personal development, and the corporate development, because I was very, very lucky to be working at how to use my personal knowledge into the organization. So I started coaching, even if it was not required for some of the people. There were some people for talent development. So I started using my skills in the organization. So when I started doing that, I felt that I have more to offer. But see, the corporate world had boundaries. I wanted to enter a space which is boundaryless. So these two were not meeting. And my skills grew so much uh, within my realm. So I felt that I should step out and go boundaryless, as I mentioned to you. The world is open. And I wanted to take that journey, go out of my comfort zone, uh, definitely try and fail rather than not trying and then regretting. So that's why I took the leap of faith.
Great. And I believe there will be so many people who are out there in the corporate world right now and who wants to have this dream to start something of their own. But they are not taking that leap because of maybe like some fears are there. Maybe they have some, like limiting beliefs, or they think that it might not work. Any suggestion or any advice for those people? Because you've already done this, you've taken the route. What's your advice to those people?
Yeah, Adnan, what decision? But there are two aspects to this decision. So one is pursuing your passion, as we all say, we hear in the media. But I will give you also a very practical perspective to this, which is the second one. And the practical perspective is, can everyone just afford to step out? They have a family to feed. They need their bread and butter. They need their day job. So my advice to all of those people who really want to pursue their passion is to create an exit plan. It can be a 5-year plan, it can be a 10-year plan, or it can be a 2-year plan. So when I was 40, I created my plan that when I turned 50, I will enter entrepreneurship. So it was definitely good long 10 years when I prepared myself, and you need more of mental preparation than the other preparation. And so that would be my advice. Create an exit plan so that at least your family is not impacted by your decision suddenly.
Wow, that's really amazing. It's not just, like overnight you thought something and you just jumped on it. But yes, you need to have a proper exit plan, and what steps you need to take so that your family, your kitchen will not get affected. Thank you so much for that great advice. I hope people who are aspiring to do that, then definitely they can plan accordingly. Now, if you plan something and you are struggling to do to a plan, obviously there are people who can, like help you, guide you, mentor you, coach you. And a big part of your profile is coaching and guiding people. How does that fall in place in your profile, or how does it help people who are struggling to have their own path that they can like take in future?
Okay, so if I understand the question correctly, you're asking how does the coaching and mentoring help the people who are struggling? Am I right?
Absolutely, absolutely. See, you are the one who knows your way. You've attended a workshop and you know what you need to do. But there are people who doesn't have the resources available, or they have not thought about like taking the help of someone else. So how does coaching help those people who are in need? What's your thought on that? So that maybe like if I want to take some decision, but I'm struggling, I don't know what to do. So maybe there's someone who can help me, who can assist me.
Okay, that's a very great question, and I would say it's one of my favorite questions, which will bring out the actual message that I want to give to this world. So people think what they know is enough, whether it's a job or whether it's taking a big decision in life, like taking the leap of faith. But that's not true. We all have blind spots that we don't see. Now, getting into business or following your passion is a very big area. You need to have the skills of the entire business. I was an HR professional. I had absolutely no knowledge of sales, for example, or business or finance. So what I did was I have a coach for many years now, for 3 to 4 years. I have a mentor in the UK, and I discuss with him. He's a CEO, and he helps me. I have very good relationships with my ex CEOs, so I do speak to them. And then I entered myself and enrolled and registered myself into a 2 years mentoring program with an international trainer. I have paid $10,000 for it, and people said, "You're crazy. With so much of experience, do you need it?" I said, "Yes." because I'm a bit cautious as well. Even though you're a risk taker, but you have to be cautious, and as well as being structured. So what structure do you follow? What are the various aspects of the business? What are the areas where you can map your strengths with the requirement of the skills of the business? What are your gaps? And that is the most important. So attending world-class speaker training, because I'm into training and coaching business, presentation skills, digital marketing, so all of that, and regular weekly coaching from my mentor through this helps me a lot. So I would tell everyone, there are blind spots in you, and there are areas, a business, if you haven't done earlier, you wouldn't know. So please ask for help. Please take coaching regularly. Everyone should take coaching, because it gives you a different perspective on the area that you haven't tread on. Or even if you are on the same journey, for example, you're a professional and you want to continue and grow, but a coach will help you identify your gaps and what you can do differently. As I say, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. So to get different results, you need to do something differently.
Wow, that's amazing. And as you mentioned about those blind spots which you cannot see, we can take an example of human eye. Human eye can see the whole world, but it cannot see itself. So definitely someone out there, and we have, I believe, we have a wrong perception as well that maybe someone who is, like very useless or who cannot think of himself or who are failures, they might need coaches. But I think that's not true. The people who are really successful, even like big entrepreneurs, CEOs, or presidents of countries, they have their mentors, they have their coaches. For example, if you talk about the Tiger Woods, who is a great golfer, but he has a coach as well, and that coach cannot play better than him, but still he needs someone, a third perspective, who can look into his capabilities, who can see more in you. Who can believe more than in you. So that's really great. And you've paid a lot of money. So people who don't have that much of money, and who cannot afford that kind of money, what they need to do? What's your advice to those people?
So you don't always have to enter into such a massive or a big expensive coaching sessions or coaching program. There are a lot of people like us, like myself, who are happy to offer guidance to people as just a service. So it's just that you need to ask of people who just want to do the service. I do a lot of free coaching. I've done it for last 1 year. So along with paid coaching, I also do free coaching. I help people. I do a lot for the millennials, especially for the millennials who are so confused these days. They don't understand where to go. Even after they've done their masters, they just don't know which road to take. So I coach them, I guide them, and help them to understand themselves better and find a roadmap for themselves. So just ask. That's my answer.
Wow, that's great. Just reach out for help. I mean, if you're ready, the master will appear. Yeah, if you're ready to learn and you're ready to grow. And you mentioned about the millennials.
Yeah.
What's the difference between millennials and the old generations, or maybe like the people before that? Because since you've coached more than 400 people, so what's your experience with the millennials?
Millennials, there's one very basic fundamental difference between millennials and the X and Y generation. So we were into more of an instruction-based parenting. We grew up with instruction-based parenting. Our parents would say, "You do this," and we would do this. We would do that. We never asked why. And millennials ask why. Why should they do that? Even a small child today, he wouldn't follow you if you have not convinced him why he should be doing whatever activity or subject or whatever. So that's the basic difference. They have to be happy in what they're doing. We used to do things whether we are happy or not. We were more dutiful, and millennials find a holistic happiness in whatever they do. So their efficiency is better, their productivity is better, because they put their heart and soul into it. Even though they have different work timings, different style and discipline, They work mainly in the night and sleep during the day, but that's fine. I mean, it's the acceptance that we have to take. But if they are so motivated and if they are so committed and if they're finding happiness in everything they're doing, I think it is far better than what we used to do. We used to do things half-heartedly. We're not happy, but we continue doing it because we think it's our duty and we should do it because our parents said it. All my family members are doctors, so I have to be a doctor. All my family members are into services, so I have to follow that. That is how we grew up. So it's a basic difference of the mindset and the thinking.
Wow, that's an amazing, it's an aha moment for me as well to realize that yes, the millennials they are different. They need logic. They don't just do whatever you want to be or told what you want to be. So and people like you who can understand the psychology of these people are definitely can be a role model for us. Now we are in a situation right now. You must be aware that things are changing post COVID. Things will definitely change. The human resources, the professions, the industries. What's your thought on that? How to cope up with that, and what skills that we need in terms of the HR? What industry that will boom? How we can make ourselves ready for the next few months when things will change definitely because of this COVID-19.
So today I was reading in the newspaper. In fact, yesterday there's an official news that 70% of the businesses in Dubai are going to bust, and it will start with the hospitality industry. Now, whether it is definitely a very shocking news. Now, whether it is going to be true or not, or it's a very magnified figure, I don't know. But there will be some impact and a big impact, which we are starting to see. Now, for HR professionals, a lot of people that I know, I took this decision earlier, and not knowing that this is coming. But a lot of my friends and people I know from very senior HR director positions have been laid off, and they were not prepared. And that's the shocking thing, that they were not prepared, and I had prepared myself for years. Now, the industries that are going to come up is, the world is going to be working very, very differently. My husband is a general manager in a steel company, and he was saying that, Nishi, for a lot of projects and assignments that we need, now we are going to Upworks. So there are platforms who are offering freelancers, and they're so cheap, and it's a global platform. So they get some creative designs for as little as $150 or $200. So there will be a lot of platforms for freelancers. More and more organizations are going to cut down their fixed cost, and they may not take employees, but they would take people who are offering their services for some assignments and time-based projects. If you see, Ministry of Labor had announced a few months back that now it is going to open the country to do the same time. So it won't be that. So going forward, the country will be supporting people wherein you can register yourself and you can a couple of companies or different companies, and that is going to become more and more common. So for HR professionals, the online businesses will be will be running. Coaching and training, consulting will become more popular. Certain industries, like, as you can understand, digital and artificial intelligence will definitely take over the lead than many other industries. What in terms of products, hydroponics and organic farming, agriculture, we probably will go back to simplicity. So a lot of luxurious items, brands, people have realized they may not be needing them so much. There may not be so much of investment or spent by people on those areas. So what HR professionals need to do is definitely they have to upskill themselves into digital and artificial intelligence. It's not a choice anymore. It's there. It's up on your face. It's not coming. We are in it right now. And they have to do things differently. From my experience, most of HR is admin. There are many CEOs I have spoken to and interviewed, and they said, you know what, we need just people joining us in time so that the business can run, and retention. So that's it. They don't, most of the businesses, they don't think about people development, and they do think it is a waste of money. But I think during this time, you need HR people more than anybody else, because they are the ones who are going to motivate your people, retain your people, help them upskill themselves, do competency mapping, find out the gaps in that person versus the job. So the it's the strategic partnership with HR that you need. So upskill your HR, work with them more closely to run your business and drive your business. So HR professionals have to be on their toes to upskill them now.
Thank you so much, Nishi. You mentioned a very right point that human capital is the key, is the backbone of any organization. And for human capital, HR is the key person, the people, in like in that environment, that they can guide them, they can like identify the gaps. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, that the human resource is mainly used as an admin rather than a kind of a strategic thinker, rather than like giving them a roadmap. Um, why is it so? Why is it so, and how we can change that perspective?
So it is also the vision of the organization. And sometimes, I work with multinationals, some very big multinationals. There is a vision, there are the mission, goals, and everyone is very, very professional. But at the end of the day, they are asked to give profit. It's all about the money. It's all about the commercial, and that takes over. So especially in these times when it's a really tough time, you're not able to manage, some of the businesses may not be able to manage to run for the fixed cost or pay the salaries of the employees. Do you think their mind will go into these areas? So it follows Maslow's hierarchy theory, as you say. So first you have to look after the people, the existing business. You have to earn money first. If there's no money, same thing goes for your personal life as well. If you don't have money, will you be going into spiritual development and you will be sitting and meditating? It follows Maslow's hierarchy theory, isn't it? So the basics first. And that's why many of the companies don't get into these advanced people development areas. They don't think about it.
Well, that's very much true. I mean, when you have food on your table, then you will think about the other things as well. And right now, the situation is not that great. We know all that because of the crisis, because of the pandemic. Companies are struggling to pay even basic salaries to their employees. So that's very much true. But nonetheless, we always have to look positive at the things. As you mentioned, that like new professions will come up, new industries will boom, and we have to adopt to the current changes. Based on this, I was looking at your profile, and you were very much into traveling as well. And now traveling is kind of one of the areas which has affected a lot, and people who used to love to travel. I hope things will change, things will come better, will be better, and people will start traveling again. What's your thought on traveling? I mean, you've traveled a lot. What's your learning from traveling? What inspired you to travel to these countries, so many countries? Just your thought on that, on traveling.
So coming from India, when I moved to UAE, it was a very, very big learning for me. This is one of the most beautiful country, which is as advanced as any of the Western countries, and it has a culture of Asia. So from where I come, so when I left India, I learned so much, and I learned so much about Islamic religion. I learned about different religions. I learned about different people. Learned to diversity and inclusion was one of our big subject in human resources. So learn to work with different diverse cultures. I have friends from all over the world. And then obviously I decided to travel because I had these friends from different parts of the world as my peers and colleagues. and I wanted to learn more about them. So people coming from certain countries, as Western countries, let's say, I have worked a lot with British colleagues, and they had very structured mind. They were very used to be very logical, disciplined, so much into sports. And then I learned a lot from them, actually, from my ex-colleagues. And then I wanted to go and see how the world looks like. So when I went to US, and there's so many Indians who would move to US in the IT and software, fields. And I just wanted to go and see what it is like. And people say it's a different world. And then I moved to Canada. I just went for holiday. And I felt that Canada has the highest customer experience number. We were just roaming around, and somebody stopped his car because we were trying to figure out on the map which way we should head. And somebody just stopped, who was going on the road, and he said, "Do you need anything?" And that was my only experience that happened in Canada. So traveling to Bali and Vietnam and Spain and UK and Paris. Paris I've been every year, 10, 15 times, because I was working for a French company. I wanted to understand the mindsets of the people. And they are all lovely people. At the end of the day, they're all lovely human beings. Because you get to hear, in this country, they're a bit cold, or this country, they're a little more warm. But it's not that. Every country has different kind of individuals. There are so many vegans now in Europe. There are so many, it is becoming so popular. And there's so many spiritual people in Europe, and they all go back to there are some places in India, and they learn and they come back. I haven't been to Australia. My son is in Australia. That's a country that I would still like to travel. But yes, as a person, I developed myself a lot. I learned their mindsets. I got into their perspectives. Why do they think the way they think? What is different? And the most important thing that I learned, which is helping me now in this COVID-19 situation, is to become independent. Because back at home, we were dependent on helpers, for cleaning the house and cooking, cook. But then when I was when I was working, and my colleagues were Europeans, they used to do everything themselves. Even if they had a 5-bedroom villa, they would do it themselves. And I got into that. I said, I don't want to be dependent on somebody. And that's helping me right now. So that's a big learning. And learning is a learning, whatever it is.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Nishi, for that. And you rightly mentioned that traveling is something which change our perspective, which change our horizon and expands our horizons. We see people as they are. We don't see them as they've been shown on the media, or like just stereotypes. So which is great. And you mentioned something about spirituality as well. How do you define spirituality? What's your definition of being a spiritual person?
So spirituality is basically simplicity, going back to loving yourself. I'm doing a lot of reading books, Anita Moorjani and Buddhism. I read Ramayana every day. I'm not a religious person. I don't follow traditions. Perhaps I break traditions, but I'm a spiritual person. So spirituality is basically not judging at all, neither yourself nor others. Connecting with yourself, they say connecting, meditating, but basically what I have grown as a spiritual person is I talk to God. You need somebody to talk to, right? So we get frustrated. My family is not responding, or friends are not responding, and we judge them because we talk to them. I talk to universe, and I talk to God, and I'm very, very, very well connected with God. I would say Sai Baba is the God that I follow, that faith. And any question, if suppose I'm into business and I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, and I said, universe, Sai Baba, what is the next step? And I get my answers through my observation. So it could be you giving me an answer, or it could be my friend who hasn't spoken to me for 20 years would suddenly call and speak to me, and I would get my answer in that. So basically, when you start observing, you start asking, you start aligning yourself, you start releasing and creating the positive vibrations wherein your thoughts are aligned, your words, your language, uh, for aligned everything to the goal. And my goal is to be a very clear, simple person without judging, without any expectation. So even when I'm into business, I say to the universe, I want the clients with whom I'll be happy to work with, and they'll be happy to work with me. I want loving clients, people who have worked and lived a life of happiness and lived a spiritual life. So I don't need too many clients. I need very few, and I want happy people. I want to create happiness with them. So for me, it's only simplicity.
Well defined, simplicity and no judgment, no expectation, and talking to yourself and then finding an answer. Well defined, Nishi. Thank you so much for that. You mentioned about reaching out initially when you said that just reach out when you need help. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to get the coaching. So if someone who is listening right now and who wants your support, your help, how they can reach you, how they can contact you?
I am on LinkedIn, and I have, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. They just need to write a message to me on LinkedIn, and I will respond. So tomorrow, I think on Monday, I have a call. There are people who are contacting me on LinkedIn, and I have posted. I post on LinkedIn. If someone is stuck on the career, they need guidance, they need mentoring, please write to me.
Right. And what's your LinkedIn profile? I mean, how did they can find you on LinkedIn? They can type your name.
Nishi Shetty. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Nishi Shetty.
Nishi Shetty. Okay. And I believe you're the owner of Niche Consulting as well. Can you just brief about that? What do you do on that?
Yes, I started this organization this year, January, Niche Consulting, by that name. And I am into three areas. One is into coaching. The second is HR, human resources consulting for the organizations. Going forward, more and more, when HR people will not be there, there might be project-based support that the organizations would need. And I started to work with some companies, but then it was stopped and delayed because of this COVID-19. And the third is the training. So my niche is basically not only people development, but my niche is positive psychology training. So when I do sales development program or leadership development program, it's not just the technical skills I teach. I also complement the technical stuff with emotional intelligence. Salespeople needs to be most improved on the emotional intelligence, on knowing their personality, creating a decision-making strategy, knowing their customer's personality, and using the NLP techniques, the law of attraction, rapport building with the customers. So I blend them. So it's a blended program, and it's an experiential learning program. The best thing that I like to do is create a lot of fun during the trainings. So I do a lot of activities during the training. So these three are my areas for niche consulting, and then I'll be exploring more.
Great, great. I believe we need maybe like a couple of other sessions as well to deep dive into your expertise. Like you mentioned about emotional intelligence, you mentioned about positive psychology, NLP, and other areas. But for now, I think the time is running short. We thank you so much for your time. For giving your insight into what you do, what your expertise are, and how people can like utilize your skills. You mentioned about leap of faith. You mentioned about starting your own business. You mentioned about an exit plan. You mentioned about asking for help. You mentioned about traveling, spirituality. So I think it's a really great discussion that we had today. We thank you so much. Any last conclusion that you want to do before we sign off?
So my only message to people is this is life. This is the journey of life. So if we had ever expected the life is going to be smooth and the same throughout the journey, it is definitely not realistic. So now that we have faced probably the worst, now it is only time to grow. Just keep yourself positive and be prepared. Prepare yourself for the good that is coming, the end of the tunnel that is coming. So my only question to people is, are you really prepared for what is going to come? Prepare yourself during the lockdown period, and you will be far, far more successful, happy, and your holistic being when this finishes, which is finishing fast. And thank you, Adnan, for a very, very lovely interview time. Your questions were very thought-provoking. I really enjoyed the session with you. And I went through your profile, your YouTube channel. You're doing a great work. So really appreciate. I salute people like yourself who are giving a very good platform. So many people around to be visible and to show themselves out there.
Thank you so much, Nishi Shetty. So we had today with us Nishi Shetty, a consultant, a coach. We had a great discussion, a great learning. We wish we can have her another time on this show as well. Thank you so much. Take care, stay safe, and we'll be in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adnan. Bye-bye.
Thank you.